It's 2 a.m. in a Silicon Valley high-rise. Under the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, the hiss of the espresso machine mingles with the click-clack of keyboards. On the surface, it looks like the usual grind for the next big tech breakthrough, but in the shadows, another kind of battle is being waged. Did you know that behind Silicon Valley's sky-high salaries lies a decade-long HR spy war? To poach top engineers, Apple, Google, Intel, and other giants turn their HR teams into covert operatives, quietly swapping candidate lists, snooping on each other's pay scales, even secretly agreeing not to recruit one another's talent. Of course, that backfired spectacularly. The U.S. Department of Justice stepped in, over 60,000 employees were dragged through the mess, and the companies ended up shelling out $415 million in settlements. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on these unspoken rules of the workplace, from Jobs' and Schmidt's hushed emergency calls to HR chiefs hashing out deals behind closed doors, from anonymous tip-off letters exposing the scheme to the heart-pounding moment the FBI kicked off its investigation. We're not just detailing what happened, but digging into the power plays and economic forces at work. How did this HR spy war warp talent mobility, skew industry wages, and what warning signs should today's job seekers and employers be watching for? Get ready for a pulse-pounding journey into Silicon Valley's secret battleground and witness the invisible tussle for the world's brightest minds. In the spring of 2005, right after an executive meeting, Steve Jobs abruptly asked to speak with Google's CEO Eric Schmidt. "Stop poaching our engineers." Immediately after that call, Apple's and Google's HR teams quietly struck a no-raid pact. They agreed not to recruit each other's employees or candidate pools. Within a year, Intel, eBay, Adobe, Intuit, and several other Silicon Valley giants had joined, forming a tight wage cartel. Through this underground network, HR managers swapped candidate lists and negotiated salary ceilings, effectively hijacking what was once a fiercely competitive hiring market. From an economic standpoint, it's a textbook case of market failure. By basic supply and demand logic, when top talent is scarce, wages should climb. But when multiple firms conspire to hold offers down, the market mechanism breaks, locking great engineers into a fixed pay range. According to U.S. Department of Justice data, around 2010, more than 60,000 engineers had their pay artificially suppressed under this illegal agreement, each losing on average nearly $30,000 in stock option gains, and the industry's overall compensation pool shrank by over $180 million. How did this go on undetected for 6 years? Because it was a smoke-free war fought behind closed doors in exclusive HR boardrooms, leaving no paper trail in public channels. Hiring managers and recruiters were too busy booking interviews to realize someone was quietly coordinating behind the scenes. Candidates polished their resumes, unaware a secret agreement had silently capped their earning potential. It wasn't until 2010, when an anonymous tip landed on the FBI's desk, that the scheme was finally exposed. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this deliberately concealed chapter to understand why its shadow still lingers over Silicon Valley's innovation paradise. A $400K a year offer in Silicon Valley isn't just a bunch of numbers slapped together. It's a three-dimensional pay package made up of base salary, stock options, and an annual bonus. Think of it like an overpass linking your current worth to the company's future growth. Stock options are like a treasure map. They might only be worth a few $1,000s when you get them, but once they vest, they can skyrocket by tens of times. That long-tail incentive was supposed to bind engineers to their company's success, but in the HR spy war, it turned into a high-stakes gamble. In the real Silicon Valley hiring market, candidates are both prey and currency. Whenever big tech firms post job openings, headhunters circle like lions, bidding fiercely for talent. But when multiple giants secretly collude, that open auction quietly shuts down. Salary ceilings get set by unspoken agreement, silently choking off any real bidding wars. According to hiring market theory, prices should rise when demand outstrips supply. Under the HR cartel, though, Someone simply turned the market's thermostat down. To really understand this drama, you've got to know U.S. antitrust law. The Sherman Act treats price fixing among companies as per se illegal. No matter how minor the agreement, any collusion to restrict competition can trigger massive fines. So picture HR teams treating candidate lists like top-secret intel, drawing invisible boundaries around who you can hire, never guessing that one anonymous tip to the FBI would tear the whole thing apart. What's more, engineers tend to focus on interview puzzles and tech stacks, overlooking the game theory behind their compensation. An offer isn't just a job description, it's the tip of the iceberg in a hidden compensation tug-of-war. You might passionately pitch your value at the negotiation table, only to have the other side pull out cartel data and say, "This is the market rate," effectively nailing down your own price. Beneath that tech glow, a maze of negotiation traps lies waiting, like hidden snares in a foggy forest. Next, we'll unpack these core ideas step by step, from how Silicon Valley packages pay and vest options, to the fundamentals of market price, to how the DOJ enforces antitrust rules. Using vivid examples and clear analogies, you'll see exactly how this silent battle rewrote the rules of the game. The real story is just getting started, and the answers lie in the next chapter of our deep dive. Behind what looks like an isolated no-poach pact among HR teams lies a far broader industry practice. In 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice opened a similar investigation into as many as 18 AI startups, accusing them of secretly signing non-poach memoranda right after their seed rounds, just before key employees might jump ship, with the ostensible goal of stabilizing teams and keeping salary costs down. But they crossed the antitrust line. At the same time, several major domestic internet firms faced rumors of a campus recruit alliance during college hiring season, top companies coordinating resume reviews and sharing interview slates to prevent wage wars. It's the same playbook Silicon Valley used to roll out a decade ago. Common misconception number 1: employees believe, as long as I ace the interview, I'll get market rate pay. In reality, the offers have often already been negotiated behind closed doors. At the bargaining table, the recruiter can whip out alliance average data to pressure you into accepting less. Misconception number 2: HR is just following orders. Actually, senior HR leaders often craft these agreements themselves, swapping Excel spreadsheets in invite-only forms and private meetings, treating candidate data like precious intelligence. Few notice that every spreadsheet update quietly resets the industry standard. Here's the debate. Proponents argue that cost control and retention benefits are real. You cut out pointless churn and keep teams cohesive. Opponents warn that monopoly-style control kills competition, trapping high-potential talent in low-pay traps and sapping long-term innovation. A little-known tidbit: back in 2012, Netflix and Hulu were rumored to have coordinated recruiting strategies. Though no formal probe followed, it shows the HR spy war didn't only happen among chip makers and search engines. Even more intriguing, these secret deals often unfold via private WeChat groups, encrypted emails, or chats on the golf course, completely skirting corporate legal review. What really brings them to light is usually an ex-engineer upset about lost pay, an anonymous tip to regulators, or a targeted antitrust sweep. With AI startups booming and campus hiring ramping back up, this issue isn't just resurfacing, it's igniting a fresh global debate over fairness in the talent marketplace. Through all this, a deeper problem emerges. When hiring becomes a zero-sum game, both candidates and HR get swept into an invisible chain of interests. Real competition isn't about tech chops or creativity anymore. It's about controlling information and bargaining power. Next, we'll break down these secret agreement processes step by step and explore how you can stay in control in this shadowy battlefield. I've always thought the scariest thing at work isn't the fine print in your contract, it's the hidden invisible agreements. After the U.S. Department of Justice investigation, Apple, Google, Intel, Adobe, and Intuit were found to have secretly signed no-poach pacts from 2005 to 2011, ultimately paying out $415 million in settlements. Over 64,000 employees were caught up in it, each losing roughly $35,000 in stock option gains on average. Those numbers alone are enough to make any job candidate's heart skip a beat. Looking back at the root cause, executives believed that constant job hopping would drive labor costs sky high, so they tried to stabilize salaries with private agreements. On the surface, it seemed like efficient cost control, but in reality, it choked off competition. Economics tells us that when demand outpaces supply, prices, i.e., wages, go up. But when multiple firms collude to cap salaries, the supply-demand mechanism breaks down. Conservative estimates suggest that during the agreement's tightest window, 2007 to 2009, Silicon Valley engineers collectively forfeited over $2 billion in wages and potential option gains. The fallout from these backroom deals goes beyond individual losses. It's suppressed innovation across the entire industry. High-potential talent, unable to secure true market value through open bidding, tend to stay put at their current companies or flock to more insular startups, leaving big tech R&D engines running on fumes. Over time, this rigidity undermines long-term growth and exposes shareholders and markets to greater risk. So what can everyday professionals do? First, proactively gather industry compensation data. Use sites like Glassdoor, Levels.fyi, and Blind2. Benchmark average salaries and equity packages for your role in City, so you're not blindsided by a recruiter's alliance average data at the negotiating table. Next, master the rhythm of negotiation. In early interviews, avoid naming your number first. Let them reveal their budget range, then counter with the market intel you've collected. When juggling multiple offers, be explicit about each company's vesting schedule and option unlock terms. Don't fall for a glossy headline salary if the real value is tied up in restricted stock. A more advanced move is crafting an optimal reward curve by balancing base pay and equity. If you can estimate how much your shares might appreciate over 5 years, you can make an informed call on whether to take more salary or more options. And don't underestimate your professional network. Regularly check in with former colleagues and industry veterans to stay abreast of recruiting trends and hidden agreement risks. If you hear rumors of a no-poach deal, be ready to line up that referral or plan your exit. Finally, you can protect yourself through legal channels. If you suspect antitrust suspect behavior by your HR team, consult a lawyer and consider reporting to the DOJ or your state attorney general. That's not just smart self-defense, it's a critical step toward driving pay transparency across the industry. The true winners in today's workplace master their craft and leverage economic smarts to safeguard their value, refusing to be hemmed in by invisible rules. When you peel back the curtain on the HR spy war, you realize that the invisible rules often matter far more than what's written in your contract. If you want to stay sharp at work and in your investments, start by tracking industry unwritten norms. Regularly check Glassdoor, Levels.fyi, and Blind for salaries and equity packages in your role in City. If you see your compensation lagging the market average, it might mean there's a no-poach pact or salary cartel working behind the scenes. Job negotiations aren't just about technical fit, they're a bargaining game. Never be the first to spill your bottom line number. Instead, let the recruiter name their budget range, then hit back with your own market rate data, pointing out, hey, the average around here is already at this level. If you're juggling multiple offers, use that to spark a bidding war. Get HR to stretch their budget to win you over. Silicon Valley's long-tail incentive model is worth emulating. Structure your base pay and equity so your rewards grow over time, rather than rely on a one-and-done signing bonus. When you evaluate options, don't just look at grant price and vesting schedule. Factor in the company's valuation, funding timetable, and your vesting milestones, so you can forecast what your equity might truly be worth at each stage and strike the right balance between salary and stock. The same antitrust mindset applies to your investments. don't put all your chips on one bet. Diversify to dodge systemic risk. Regularly review your contracts and fund agreements. Watch out for lockup periods, redemption limits, and hidden fees like management or performance charges. If a deal comes with a mandatory bundle or a steep minimum, ask questions and consider alternatives. In the end, the winners, at work and in wealth, are the ones who know their economics and stay info alert. Stand your ground at the negotiation table with the data you've gathered. Push back against behind-the-scenes tricks, and in your portfolio, use a multi-asset approach, wary of too-good-to-be-true package deals. Armed with an economist's mindset, you'll stay one step ahead in these invisible games and enjoy steadier career and financial growth. Night has fallen, yet Silicon Valley keeps humming, and those hidden currents have already rewritten the rules of the game. The HR secret pacts may have been stamped out by law, but they remind us that thriving at work isn't just about mastering your craft. It's about understanding the playbook behind the scenes. We've watched tech giants turn into recruitment spies, and we've seen regulators rip off the mask to restore a fair playing field. This smokeless battle warns us that in an era of innovation and competition, information and bargaining power are the real currencies. Today, we've traced everything from Jobs' call with Schmidt to the tens of thousands of engineers who got shortchanged, unpacking how comp structures and antitrust laws intertwine. We've shared hands-on tips for gathering market intel, maximizing your option upside, and diversifying investment risk. And we've laid out strategies for using economic thinking to protect your value on the job and in your portfolio, so hidden traps can't snare you. Now it's your turn. Have you ever encountered a behind-the-scenes deal at an interview or in an investment? And how did you spot or sidestep it? Drop your stories and insights in the comments so we can shine a light on these hidden truths and help everyone claim what they deserve. If you found this episode helpful, hit like, share, and subscribe. See you next time as we dive deeper into the real dynamics of careers and finance.